Shalom, I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you the efforts of Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government coalition. It is as follows. The initial 28 days for Netanyahu to form a government has expired. On March the 2nd, Netanyahu will ask for a 2-week extension. If Netanyahu cannot form a government by March the 16th, there will most likely be new elections. So what type of government is Netanyahu trying to form? He has stated on multiple occasions that he would like the broadest government possible. Ideally, this government would consist of Hatnuah, or the movement. This is the party of Tzipi Livni, Labor, Kadima, the secular centrist party of Yesh Atid, which means there's a future, Jewish Home, and the two ultra-Orthodox parties, Shas and United Torah Judaism. This government would be the most ideal to confront both Israel's domestic and international political concerns. However, because of conflicting political interests between these parties, the inclusion of all these parties into the next government is not realistic. Alternatively, Netanyahu would prefer a government of Labor, Kadima, and the ultra-Orthodox parties of Shas and United Torah Judaism. This government coalition would exclude Yesh Atid, who according to recent polls is the greatest threat to become the largest political party in Israel if new elections were held, and it would also exclude Jewish Home. However, Labor is strongly expressing an unwillingness to join Netanyahu's government. Without Labor, this coalition would not have the minimum of 61 Knesset members that is needed to form a government. Netanyahu's third alternative would be to form a government with Hatnuah or Tzipi Livni, Kadima, the two ultra-Orthodox parties, and either Yesh Atid or Jewish Home. However, Yesh Atid and Jewish Home have conflicting political views from the two ultra-Orthodox parties on the issue of drafting ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students into the Israeli military. Furthermore, Yesh Atid and Jewish Home have made a pact with each other that both will join the new government or both will not be in the new government. So far, Netanyahu has not been successful in trying to break the Yesh Atid Jewish Home alliance. Therefore, it seems that the only government that Netanyahu can form will be to include Yesh Atid and Jewish Home alongside Tzipi Livni, who's already joined the government, and possibly Kadima. In order to form this government coalition, Netanyahu will have to agree to the demands of Yesh Atid and Jewish Home and draft ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students into the Israeli military. Because drafting ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students into the Israeli military is opposed by the two ultra-Orthodox parties, a government with Yesh Atid and Jewish Home would exclude the ultra-Orthodox from being able to join the government. Jewish Home is also demanding that as a condition for them joining the government, that the power that Netanyahu gave to Tzipi Livni to negotiate with the Palestinians regarding the peace process be modified. Based upon the present circumstances, it appears that if Netanyahu will not agree to include both Yesh Atid and Jewish Home into his government, that he would not be able to form a new government, and thus there would need to be new elections. However, according to the polls, if there were new elections, then Netanyahu would be replaced from being prime minister by the leader of Yesh Atid, the former journalist Yair Lapid. Therefore, it is most likely that Netanyahu will form a government that will ultimately include Yesh Atid and Jewish Home and exclude Labor and the two ultra-Orthodox parties, Shas and United Torah Judaism. This government then would have 68 Knesset members. It would be 70 if Kadima decided to join the government. This government would be strong and would be able to adequately deal with domestic Israeli political issues, but it would be vulnerable to international pressure from the United States and the European Union, who is most likely going to insist that Israel agree to a Palestinian state based upon 67 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. If a peace agreement is made with the Palestinians, the Labor Party has said that it would join the government to support such a peace agreement. Details regarding the efforts by Benjamin Netanyahu to form a government this week included the following things. The leader of Kadima, Shaul Mofaz, requested that in order for him to join Netanyahu's government, that he have the position of defense minister. This demand was rejected by the Likud negotiating team. As a result, Kadima joined the alliance between Yesh Atid and Jewish Home, as all three parties want to see ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students be drafted into the Israeli military. It was reported that Kadima, Yesh Atid, and Jewish Home met together, and it was agreed between them that Jewish Home would ask for the finance ministry, Yesh Atid for the foreign ministry, and Kadima for the defense ministry. Together, these three parties make 33 Knesset seats. In order to try to break the alliance between Yesh Atid and Jewish Home to join the government together or not at all, Likud negotiators tried to convince Yesh Atid, who supports peace talks with the Palestinians, that if they maintained their alliance with Jewish Home, that it would harm the peace process, and the Israeli government would not be able to kick Jews out of their homes in the West Bank and areas that are outside the main settlement blocks. Jewish Home Knesset member Rabbi Eliyahu ben Dahan reacted to these reports by saying, "It turns out that instead of advancing the signing of a coalition agreement, Likud prefers to advance a leftist government which would include the ultra-Orthodox parties with an emphasis on future eviction of Jewish communities in the West Bank, while turning down the request of Jewish Home to change the agreement with Tzipi Livni, which gave her power to negotiate a peace agreement with the Palestinians." In conducting coalition talks with Likud representatives, Jewish Home negotiators were told that Tzipi Livni has been given exclusive rights to conduct negotiations with the Palestinians regarding the peace process and be able to make recommendations for a peace agreement which will be presented to the Prime Minister in the Inner Security Cabinet. As a result, neither Netanyahu nor his future foreign minister will be allowed to conduct negotiations outside of her framework. In past Israeli governments, the concept of parallel negotiating teams was fully accepted. A parallel team not directly sponsored by the Israeli government negotiated the Oslo Accords with the Palestinians in 1993 with full knowledge of the then Foreign Minister Shimon Peres. During the term of Ehud Olmert as Prime Minister, which was from 2006 to 2009, he had at least two negotiating teams working with the Palestinians, including an official one managed by his Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni. Yesh Atid has joined Jewish Home in being in disagreement with Netanyahu's coalition agreement with Tzipi Livni. Senior Yesh Atid officials said that if Netanyahu wanted them to join the coalition, he would have to make substantial modifications to his deal with Tzipi Livni. They also said that if Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid would become foreign minister, that Tzipi Livni would not have exclusive rights to negotiate with the Palestinians. Because of the opposition that Netanyahu is facing from Yesh Atid and Jewish Home to reach his goals to have Tzipi Livni in the government along with the ultra-Orthodox parties, Netanyahu offered Labor both the Finance Ministry and the Industry, Trade, and Labor Ministry, which are the two top economic portfolios, with an extra promise to back veteran Knesset member Benjamin Ben Eliezer as the coalition's candidate to succeed Shimon Peres as president. However, Labor leader Shelley Yakimovich rejected the offer, saying that the mainly domestic economic views between Labor and Likud are so vastly ideologically different that Labor is not interested in being in Netanyahu's government. Furthermore, Yakimovich does not believe that Netanyahu is seriously willing to agree to a Palestinian state based upon 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital, saying that Netanyahu is only interested in modeling a diplomatic process with the Palestinians to impress U.S. President Barack Obama and has no real intentions of pursuing a real peace process. However, she did say that if Israel agreed to a peace agreement with the Palestinians that establishes a Palestinian state based upon 67 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital, that she would join the government to support the peace agreement. In not being able to convince Labor to join a potential government with the ultra-Orthodox party Shas and United Torah Judaism, and therefore needing both Yesh Atid and Jewish Home to join the government in order to be able to form a government, Likud officials said that Likud was willing to reconsider the terms of the coalition agreement signed with Tzipi Livni, whereby Livni's authorities will change and some will be taken away from her. Until now, Likud negotiators have said that the agreement with Tzipi Livni will not change. Since Jewish Home would like to be in the next government, in the next meeting with the Likud negotiators, Jewish Home will demand to know what is Netanyahu's basic platform. Is it the peace process or confronting the major domestic economic and social issues confronting the Israeli public? Likud negotiators tried to further divide Yesh Atid and Jewish Home and the ultra-Orthodox parties by trying to shame Yesh Atid and Jewish Home in the eyes of the Israeli public by claiming that both Yesh Atid and Jewish Home refuse to be in the government with the ultra-Orthodox parties and hates them. Jewish Home, while agreeing with Yesh Atid's intentions to enlist ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students into the Israeli military, has never said that it would refuse to sit in a coalition with the ultra-Orthodox and indicated that it would be willing to negotiate with them on the issue. In response, Jewish Home Knesset member Ayelet Shaked said on her Facebook page that her party has no problem entering into a coalition with the ultra-Orthodox, but Jewish Home will also not be in the coalition without Yesh Atid. Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid criticized the Likud's negotiators by accusing Yesh Atid of rejecting the ultra-Orthodox from being potentially in the government coalition. Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid said on his Facebook page, "So what did we talk about during the coalition negotiations? We spoke about the need for a housing revolution to bring down prices, about education, about the cost of living, about our commitment to make things easier for the middle class. In other words, we talked about all the things that are not spins and do not make news headlines and do not deal with trying to get people to hate and be angry with each other. Then why is it that the only thing that came out from our meetings is the Likud negotiators claiming that Yesh Atid rejects the ultra-Orthodox from being in the government? That's a great question. Furthermore, Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid said that his party will stick to their principles which got them elected. One of these main issues is the insistence that ultra-Orthodox students be drafted in the Israeli military. Because of the ultra-Orthodox party's opposition to this policy, this means that if Yesh Atid joins the government, that the ultra-Orthodox would not be able to do so. Yesh Atid and Jewish Home met to form a compromise position between them regarding the drafting of ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students into the Israeli military. The original position of Yesh Atid was that the total number of exemptions to be granted to ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students to enter the Israeli military would be 400. The compromise proposal would be 1,500 to 2,000. The original position of Yesh Atid was for the ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students to be drafted at age 18. The compromise proposal is now 21. Being concerned that they will be left out of the government, the ultra-Orthodox parties have now indicated a willingness to accept the proposal put together by Eugene Kandel, the head of Israel's National Economic Council, whereby he proposed that the Israeli military would draft upwards to 60% of ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students aged 18 to 24 within a 5-year period, and the government would provide monetary incentives to those who comply while penalizing the yeshivas of those who don't. This proposal by Eugene Kandel has been the position taken by Likud negotiators in coalition talks. Previously, the ultra-Orthodox parties opposed this proposal. While Netanyahu prefers that the ultra-Orthodox parties be included in his government coalition, Likud officials said that if Netanyahu feels he is backed into a corner and may lose the chance to form a government, he won't think twice about leaving the ultra-Orthodox out of the coalition. However, Netanyahu said that if he indeed forms an initial government with Yesh Atid and Jewish Home, that he would encourage the ultra-Orthodox party, Shas and United Torah Judaism, to join his government at a later time. Hearing of these thoughts, the ultra-Orthodox parties rejected this possibility. According to a recent poll, 76% of the Israeli public supports a coalition made up of Likud, Yesh Atid, and Jewish Home. Also, 51% of Israelis would prefer to see a coalition that did not include the ultra-Orthodox parties. So given that Netanyahu only has 2 more weeks to form a government, what government will he form? The answer is only time will tell. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.